Imagine if you were a chicken, minding your own business, spending time with your family. Out of nowhere, a guy with a vest and no shirt comes up to you, looks you dead in the eyes, and just starts chanting. Next thing you know, you're in an alternate dimension, and you are about to be cooked. Final Fantasy XII was one of the heavy hitter games of the PS2 era. It's earned a spot as one of my favorite games because of the phenomenal combat, customization, and especially the world building. But one thing I feel like this game really did well that doesn't get talked about enough is the special moves, specifically the Quickenings. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Quickening is, it's kind of like a limit break in other Final Fantasy games. Think a character's special signature move. I am going to actually talk about the Quickening system and how I feel like it was pretty unique. But first, let me put some respect on this game and just yap about these animations for a few minutes. Before we begin, let me remind everyone that this was a PlayStation 2 game. This game literally came out in 2006. That was literally a year before the iPhone. Now, some of the footage I'm using is from the remaster, but I promise it looked amazing then too. The level of detail and level of disrespect is what I absolutely love about this game. Each one of the 6 characters has 3 Quickenings, and we're going to go through them all character by character. So first off, we're going to start off with Vaughn. Yeah, I know Vaughn gets memed on all the time, and I understand why, but we gotta start putting some respect on his name. First up is Red Spiral. It starts with the twirly beams of light. Yeah, if you see these, it's over, bro. And then the laser. This thing looks so powerful, and it's literally the first Quickening you get in the entire game. And it's not a one-time thing. You could keep throwing this out like 3 or 4 times in a row, and it's not even particularly difficult to pull off. It's just like 2 buttons back and forth. And after 3 or 4 times, it straight up triggers an inferno. Like the lasers weren't enough, we had to send this chicken straight into the depths of hellfire with the hottest flames imaginable. Next up is White Whirl. Vaughn starts with the Kamehameha pose, classic, channels the winds and jumps up and shoots a goddamn tornado. This is not a baby gust of wind, this will rip you apart limb from limb. I mean, look at this animation, this is crazy. Nah, but Vaughn's not done yet. Vaughn's third and final Quickening is Pyroclasm. And I mean, literally, just look at this fire. What are the enemies even supposed to do in this situation? I'd be looking like that one guy who goes like, "My eyes!" But honestly, I'd probably be okay with it because this explosion looks beautiful. 10 out of 10. Next, of course, we got the leading man, swagged out with the rainbow rings. Fires of War is just a 6-piece explosion, but Balthier looks so cool when he does it. I really like the particle effects on this one. Like, look at how each ball has some glow behind it, and it follows it in like a really nice pattern. Great explosion too. The next one, Tides of Fate, I think is one of the longest animations. It looks visually stunning, but I really like the sound effects of the whistle and the wave here. The big one is Element of Treachery. Balthier literally shadow clones himself into 3 and does some magic circle stuff. Him and his clones jump up and summon a freaking meteor, and it comes crashing straight through the enemy with a gigantic explosion again. Again, you could just be using these on regular mobs, and they cannot do anything. There is no Aerith in this game to stop the meteor. Bosch is up next with Fulminating Darkness, and you know they ripped this one straight out of Dragon Ball Z. I just love the colors here. I mean, look at that green. And that black and green electricity looks so cool the way it flows. Yeah, I definitely tried to do this as a kid in real life. This next one's gotta take the cake as one of the most insane ones though, Ruin Impendant. He starts punching a hole through the enemy and reality itself for some reason. And then does another punch to break it and break the fabric of reality. What is going on? Bosch is the captain of the army, and the whole plot of this game is to stop war, but like, how are you supposed to stop that? Like, Sky Fortress Bahamut is not doing anything against this. Bro does not need a third Quickening, man. But this last one was so cool. Flame Purge. Bro did not need to pose on them like that. Bosch was looking like a JoJo character before the anime came out. He was so swagged up. I thought this was so cool. I love the fire effect in each of the swords and in like the fireball behind him, and the black and red just looks so good. Speaking of looking good, Fran has some absolutely vicious ones. Feral Strikes comes out so fast, but it looks so cool. Look at all the particle effects, the explosion, the swag, the wind blowing in Fran's hair after that final explosion to give it that sense of power. And again, another level of swag with Whip Kick, where she does the same thing, but she jumps up and uses her kicks instead of punches. And then closes it out with a disgusting backflip kick explosion. I love these ones because the sound effects really make them feel aggressive in a way that the other Quickenings don't. I wasn't that into Fran's final Quickening Shatterheart, but I realized that it's kind of an homage to Diamond Dust from other Final Fantasy games, and Final Fantasy 12 doesn't have the traditional Final Fantasy summons, so I thought it was pretty cool that they added this. Next up, the queen herself, Ashelia Banargan Dalmasca with Nord Swain's Glow. 7 glowing orbs that land and go into big laser explosions. It's quick and it's efficient. Some might say simple and clean. Heaven's Wrath is super cool. Ash just sticks her arms out and starts levitating, like she's in Minecraft creative mode or something like that. Oh my god, she's levitating. She harnesses her power and then uses the orb similar to the previous quickening and kind of just rams them into the enemy and just kind of blows them up a bunch of times. Her quickenings all have a nice purple color, especially the next one. Ash starts out with the swag and turns around, collects all the mist energy into a big cloud right in front of her, looking like a miniature galaxy of energy, turns around, and then blasts lightning bolts straight into the enemy. 8 out of 10 explosions, but 10 out of 10 swag. Last but definitely not least is Penelo. I got it! This looks like if Penelo was charging a spirit bomb and then exploded it. I thought Evanescence was really cool because it had like a flowiness to it, and it reminded you that Penelo was a dancer. I don't know what kind of dance lessons she's taken to learn this magic, but sign me up. Really appreciate the black and purple colors on this explosion. I love it. The very last quickening we have, which is also the least flashy, is Resplendence. Penelo dances back and forth and stops time and just kind of gently walks up to the enemy, taps, and shatters reality. Yeah, this game was insane. There were a few other quickenings in the sequel, Revenant Wings, and quickenings did show up in other games like Dissidia as well. But again, the PS2 game did it first. The greatest console, baby. Now, even besides the awesome animations, there was a couple of other things that made quickenings unique. Normally in a JRPG, you have MP for casting spells, and as you take damage or deal damage, there is a whole separate system that determines when you can use your special moves. In Final Fantasy Rebirth, for example, your limit break gauge fills by using abilities, but it also scales by how low your health is. Unlike a regular limit break system, though, the quickening system was not a separate bar. The quickening bar was actually the same as your MP bar. Your MP bar got split into 3 different chunks, and you could spend those chunks to cast quickenings. And because each character had 3 levels of quickenings, you could choose which quickening to cast by how much MP you wanted to expend. Right off the bat, one thing that this allowed was the ability to just spam quickenings. It got you familiar with the system. You could just go to the store, buy a bunch of magic potions, spam quickenings on some monsters, pop the potions, and rinse and repeat. And it was really fun to just obliterate random mobs with the most insane animations ever. There's also a system where if you chain quickenings, you get these things called concurrences, and they let you do like insane amounts of damage. Actually, quickenings aren't even that strong on their own, it's really the concurrences that do the big damage. The animations were great, but just trying to get every concurrence and just spamming team quickening abilities really drilled this whole system into my mind, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, now's about time to wrap up the video, guys. I wanted to put some respect on Final Fantasy 12 because I feel like nobody talks about how ahead of its time it was. What'd you guys think about the Quickenings? Which of them was your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you guys like this style of video versus my other styles. I definitely tried to make this one a lot funnier than the other ones. And I might do another video about the summons in this game, which I think were also pretty different. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.